At first, we were just having fun and partying while other kids our age were growing up. But when mid-October came, we started looking for the best Halloween parties. I heard from a friend that a guy was throwing a big house party because his parents were away that weekend. Even though it wasn't Halloween yet, he decided to host a huge costume party. All we needed to do was get an invite and think of a costume. We chose to dress up as characters from A Clockwork Orange. I spent days gathering white clothes, suspenders, canes, and bowler hats to make our costumes recognizable. After putting everything together at one of our parents' houses, we walked about 30 minutes to the party. We arrived around 9:30 p.m. and the party was packed with around 100 kids aged 18 to 22, all drinking and dancing. The atmosphere was amazing, and most people were friendly, even though we didn't know them. However, I noticed a lot of illegal drugs around. These wealthy kids had more money than us, so it was surprising to see so much at one party. But we brought our own beer and cheap vodka, so we enjoyed ourselves. Around 1 a.m., we ended up sitting by the pool as the party started winding down. We finished our drinks and decided to head home with our last few beers. Instead of going through the house, we took the back gate to the driveway for a quicker exit. Just as we were about to leave, one of my friends, Jason, said he needed to use the bathroom and went back inside. After a couple of minutes, he came back and said we could go. We started walking back, feeling bold enough to drink on the way. Then, out of nowhere, a car's headlights shone on us from behind. I thought it was just passing by, but then the car revved its engine and sped toward us. I got scared, thinking it might be the police. But as it got closer, I realized it wasn't. People jumped out and yelled, "That's him! Get him!" We had no idea what was happening, but we knew we had to run. We sprinted away, using side alleys to escape. After a while, we stopped to catch our breath, confused about why we were being chased. One of my friends mentioned he saw a guy who looked like he had a costume on, which made us think the people chasing us might have been at the party too. We had no clue what we had done to upset them. We tried to get back on the street, aware that we were still being hunted. About 5 minutes later, headlights appeared again, but this time the car sped toward us. We realized we had to run again. We climbed a fence to get away, even though I knew I couldn't normally do that. Once we made it over, we kept running until we reached a wider street. I looked back and saw no one was following us. We ended up behind a strip mall where we could hide and catch our breath. Everyone was really scared, and we still didn't know why they were chasing us. We thought maybe they just wanted to fight someone and decided to come after us instead. While we were hiding, Jason, who had been quiet, finally spoke up. He said he messed up, and we didn't understand what he meant. Then he revealed he had stolen something from the party. He pulled out a big bag of powder, which made me feel sick to my stomach. I knew it was something very valuable that could make people angry if stolen. Jason explained that he had just tried to find a bathroom and saw the bag on a table. He thought no one was looking and grabbed it, but someone saw him take it. Instead of just returning it, he dragged us into danger. I was furious and disappointed because we had been friends for so long. We tried to convince Jason to go back and return what he had stolen, but he wouldn't. Ryan, another friend, said he would return it if Jason wouldn't. He insisted that if he did, he'd make sure the people knew Jason was the one who stole it. This seemed to motivate Jason to do the right thing, as we realized we could get into serious trouble if we didn't. We reluctantly walked back to the party, knowing it would be tough, but believing it was better than facing the consequences of running away. 4-0 Mini Story 1. We didn't make it to the party. We were just getting close when the same car and guys who had been chasing us before pulled up next to us again. It felt really weird thinking that I might be attacked by a guy who had dressed as SpongeBob earlier. When they came closer, Jason ran away. I felt like I should run too, but Ryan stood his ground and showed the guys what they had stolen. The guy who seemed drunk stopped when he saw the bag and looked confused. Ryan stepped forward and gave the stolen stuff back, explaining that it was our friend who had taken it, the same guy who ran away. The driver then asked Ryan to tell him our friend's name. I wanted Ryan to just tell him since Jason caused so much trouble, but instead, Ryan refused to say anything because he didn't want our friend to get hurt. The driver smiled and said Ryan had guts for not telling him. Then he walked back and headbutted Ryan in the face, knocking him down. The guys laughed as they got back in their car. I was scared they would run over Ryan, so I dragged him off the road. Ryan was groaning and holding his nose while I pulled him away. After that, the car drove off, leaving us behind. Ryan ended up with a broken nose, and later he told Jason about the driver's message. Jason got punched a lot and ended up with a swollen lip and a black eye because he wouldn't apologize for what he did. I didn't see much of Jason after that, but I still keep in touch with Ryan because he had my back that night. I changed Jason's name in this story because I didn't want to embarrass him publicly. But Ryan's name is real because he deserves to be recognized. Thanks, buddy, for being the hero that night. Underscore, 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 underscore. Story 2. In my first year of university, my friends and I decided to go to a big Halloween party. We were 5 girls, all dressed up and ready to have fun. We had some drinks at one of our flats before taking a taxi to the club around 11 p.m. The music was great, and we were all enjoying ourselves until a creepy guy in a clown costume started bothering me. I really don't like clowns, they scare me. This guy thought it was funny to scare me, but I just wanted him to leave me alone. I went to the bar to escape him, but I could still see him staring at me from across the room. I tried to ignore him and have fun, but he made it hard. Later, I needed to go to the bathroom, so I asked my friend to come with me. I had to pull her away from chatting with someone, but when we got to the girls' restroom, she wanted to talk to a guy she liked, so I told her I'd wait. I couldn't wait any longer, so I went in by myself. When I walked out of the stall to wash my hands, the clown guy was in the girls' bathroom, staring at me again. He started saying he was just joking and that I was being uptight. I told him to leave because he was being a creep. Thankfully, some other girls came in and yelled at him, which got a bouncer's attention. Soon, the bouncers kicked the clown out of the club. I was relieved. After the club closed, I lost my friends and had trouble getting a taxi. It was cold outside, and I was wearing heels and a short dress. I thought about calling an ex who lived close by. I was worried he might think I wanted more than friendship, but I called him anyway, and he said he'd help me. As I walked away, I felt bad about my friends, so I tried to contact them, but no one replied. While trying to find my way to the guy's place, I saw someone sitting on some steps. He looked young and really drunk. I felt nervous walking past him, so I crossed the street. But in my heels, I was loud, and he noticed me. He slurred something, and I knew I had to be careful. I was sitting on some steps when I heard a guy mumbling to himself. Suddenly, he started shouting, "Oi!" really loudly. I looked back and saw a guy who looked strange, like he was only half dressed in a suit. He was carrying something in his hand, but I couldn't tell what it was. When he brought it closer to his face, I realized it was a creepy clown mask. It wasn't just some random drunk, it was Clown Boy, and he looked angry. I kept walking, hoping he was too drunk to follow me, but when I glanced back, I saw he was stumbling toward me, trying to get his arm into his costume. I felt scared and decided to act tough. I shouted at him that I would call the police if he came any closer, but that just made him laugh. His laugh was even creepier now that he was so drunk, especially coming from behind that mask. I hurriedly walked in my heels toward a left turn I needed to take. Once I turned, I pretended to walk slowly, but then I took off my heels and ran as fast as I could along the wet pavement, hoping to find my date's apartment in the dark. Luckily, I finally spotted the right building. Just as I was about to ring the buzzer, I felt a sharp pain in my foot and yelped in pain. I had stepped on broken glass and cut my foot deep. Even though there was a lot of blood, I didn't feel much pain because of the adrenaline. I rang my date's buzzer, and he let me in. I got through the heavy door and had to sit down, holding my foot up. I knew it was bad. I ended up calling him to come help me. I was wearing black tights, and blood was dripping down my heels. He took me to the hospital around 4:30 in the morning, where I saw a waiting room full of people in costumes who had also hurt themselves while drinking. My date stayed with me the whole time and even held my hand when it was my turn to be examined. I thought I might just need stitches, but I ended up waiting for hours because the doctors wanted to make sure there was no glass left in my foot. Thankfully, they got it all out right away, but I still needed stitches, which meant more waiting. After 3 hours, I was finally free to leave. The doctor told me to stay off my foot for at least 2 weeks, but otherwise, I was okay. I went back to Leeds to stay with my parents while I healed. During this time, I kept texting Joe, the guy who helped me, and we agreed to go on another date when I got back. After everything that happened, I realized how supportive he was during a crisis, which made me want to be with him. We've been dating for almost 8 years now, and even though our relationship started in a weird way, it makes sense to me. That scary night with Clown Boy was definitely the most frightening thing that happened to me while I was in college. I'm so thankful for everything Joe did for me that night, and I hope he will always keep me safe. Underscore 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 underscore. Story 3. I went to a Halloween party in my early 20s that went really wrong. The host was a friend of a friend and seemed nice at first. He didn't mind if the flat got a little messy, and he seemed laid back. But as the party went on, he got more stressed. He asked people to smoke on the balcony, but they kept coming inside with lit cigarettes. He asked them not to mess up the food he laid out, but it was trashed before midnight. He also asked people not to use his bedroom for anything private, but that request was ignored. By the time we got our first noise complaint, you could tell he was really at his breaking point. The final straw was when a drunk guy threw up in his sink and it got clogged. I watched as the host ran to see what was happening. When he found the guy vomiting in the sink instead of the toilet, he pushed him away half-heartedly. The drunk guy, still confused, turned and threw up all over the host. Everyone went quiet, shocked. The host walked off to change, and it was disgusting. The drunk guy didn't even realize what he had done. A few people tried to check on the host while telling the drunk guy to leave, but you could feel the party's mood shift. Then the host came back, soaking wet and without a shirt, and shouted for everyone to leave. People started looking at each other, realizing it was time to go. The drunk guy was apologizing and trying to clean up his mess, but it was clear the host was ready to fight. Just as the drunk guy agreed to leave, the host came back wearing one black glove and punched the drunk guy in the face. I found out later that it was a knuckle glove, which is like concealed brass knuckles. The punch knocked the drunk guy down, and he started bleeding. It all happened so fast that by the time anyone realized what was going on, it was too late. Some partygoers managed to hold back the angry host before he could hit the guy again, but the drunk guy was out cold. People freaked out. We later learned his injury wasn't that serious, but at the time, it looked really bad. I honestly thought he might be dead when he fell. I wish I could say I did the right thing and called for help, but my friends and I had been drinking too, so we didn't want to get involved. Besides, we knew someone else had already called an ambulance, which meant the police would show up. I wasn't scared of the host turning on us because we got along fine. But it was scary how quickly things escalated at a party. One night, a guy got really upset because people were bothering him all night, and then he lost control. I wouldn't have hit someone, but I understand why he was stressed. The drunk guy ended up needing stitches for a cut and got a bad concussion from falling. He even pressed charges against the guy who hit him, and that caused a lot of trouble for a while. I hope the guy who hit him got help for his anger issues. I get that stress can make you act out, but it's really scary when someone gets hurt like that. Story 4. Back in 2014, during my senior year of high school, my mom went with my dad on a business trip to Chicago for Halloween weekend, so I was home alone. I asked them if I could have a small party with a few friends to dress up and watch horror movies. They said yes, but warned me had to be very small. If anything got broken, I'd be grounded until New Year's. As soon as they left, I started planning a bigger party than I promised. I got my boyfriend to help, and his friends acted as security to keep things under control. We paid them with drinks. We planned the party quietly, and it went pretty well. No one crashed, and nobody got sick. But way more people came than I expected because friends kept asking if they could invite others. The next morning, the house was a mess with empty containers and leftover food. We felt awful from eating and drinking too much, so we delayed cleaning up. After eating some pizza and energy drinks, we finally got started. By the end, the house looked clean, except for one place, the bathroom in my parents' room. I thought it would be fine since everyone respected the off-limits areas. But when I opened the bathroom door, I was shocked. One of my friends asked if someone threw up in there, and I told her to go see for herself. When she looked, she yelled for everyone to come and see. There was a dark, sticky liquid in the tub that looked a lot like blood. One of my friends joked about it being a period, and I almost slapped him for being so rude. My boyfriend suggested calling the cops since it was all so strange. We tried to figure out if anyone got hurt that night by calling everyone who attended, but everyone said they were fine and had a great time. We didn't find any blood anywhere else in the house, and someone said it didn't make sense for someone to bleed so much without leaving more blood around. Someone else thought it could be a prank. Even though we felt a bit silly, we decided it was better to be safe and called the cops. They showed up with backup to search for clues and took samples. There were guys in protective suits everywhere while we were anxious and hungover. It got worse when my parents heard and came home early from their trip. I felt guilty, thinking someone might have been hurt, and I didn't help. It turned out the blood was human, but they couldn't figure out whose it was. The cops made us give them the names of everyone who was at the party, which was almost 70 people. They started interviewing everyone, but everyone said they were fine and hadn't seen anyone get hurt. We couldn't clean the bathroom until a week later when the cops were done with their investigation. Until then, my family stayed in a hotel and kept in touch by phone. When we finally got to go home, we thought it was over, but it was just the start of the rumors. People said someone had been murdered at my party and made up wild theories about who might have done it. It was really hurtful, and we didn't worry too much at first since the cops were on our side. But then one day, the cops showed up with a search warrant, which made it feel like we were suspects. My dad had to let them search the house, and it felt awful, even though we had nothing to hide. They didn't find anything. After that, the cops didn't bother us for a while, but called to say they were still investigating. We thought they would find a body that matched the blood in the tub, but they found nothing. My parents even had to contact the cops for updates, and my dad could tell the investigation was stuck. They had no leads and ruled my parents out as suspects because they were in Chicago. Then, something new happened, which changed everything. For years, I sometimes felt like my parents doubted me. One time, my mom asked if I was hiding something to protect someone. I assured her I had no idea whose blood it was and that I wasn't lying. She didn't ask again, but I could tell she still had some doubt. I hope one day we find out the truth about how that blood got there. I feel confident that eventually they will identify the owner of the blood. I just want to find out it was all an accident and that someone survived, not that someone was killed at my party. I don't know who hurt that person or why they ended up in my parents' bathroom that night. If they really were murdered, I feel like it's my fault. What's worse is this feeling of waiting. I'm so tired of waiting, and I need to know. Underscore, 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 story 5. Calling this the worst party I ever went to feel strange because what I'm about to share was one of the worst nights of my life. It was a Halloween party I went to with my girlfriend after we moved to Boise. I worked from home while she got a job at a live music bar. She was making new friends while I stayed indoors. When Halloween came, she invited me to a party hosted by a friend from work. I thought it would be nice to meet some guys to watch football with, so I went. The weather that night was terrible, just rain, rain, and more rain. The host had planned a barbecue, but because of the weather, we had to cook hot dogs indoors. Shifting the cooking inside helped break the ice for me. The house had a back door that led to the yard, and the host asked anyone who wanted to smoke to go out back. Some people didn't mind getting wet. While I was serving hot dogs, one guy outside said he wanted one. I handed it to him, and he ran back under the small umbrella where the smokers were. Later, one of the smokers came running in, yelling for someone to call 911. The guy I had given the hot dog to had choked on it. By the time he realized he was choking and needed help, he could only walk halfway across the lawn before he collapsed. He suffocated right there in the mud, just meters away from everyone inside. I know it wasn't my fault, but the fact that he choked on the hot dog I gave him really messed me up for a while. It was such a terrible night, and everyone was traumatized. I feel so heartbroken for his family. Underscore, 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 underscore. Story 6. I once went to a Halloween party where about 15 of my coworkers crowded into a small condo, maybe 1,200 square feet. Most of us got along, but as the drinks flowed, things got a bit wild. One girl found out the condo owner had leftover mac and cheese in the fridge. She got super excited and suggested we make mac and cheese bites. Deep-fried mac and cheese is amazing when you're drunk, but I wasn't sure making it while drunk was a good idea. She insisted she knew what she was doing and would be a hero by making them for everyone. I went to the kitchen to grab a beer and saw that she seemed to be doing fine. She was dipping cold mac and cheese into flour and had some oil heating up on the stove. I thought we were in for a treat, but then I heard the most horrible scream I've ever heard. The girl spilled hot oil on her leg, and it was so hot that it stuck her leggings to her skin. Never mess with hot oil when you're drunk. Stick to takeout. I will never forget that smell. underscore 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 underscore. Thanks for listening. Click the notification bell to be alerted for new videos. I release new videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. If you have a story to share, submit it to my subreddit r/Let'sReadOfficial, and you might hear it in the next video. If you want to support me, check out my Patreon for early access to future narrations and bonus content, or click the join button for extra perks. You can also listen to the Let's Read podcast for story compilations anywhere you find podcasts. Links are in the description below. Thanks, friends. Remember to keep going.